Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Yeonni, and for today's video, I kind of wanted to just have a casual video where I sit down, eat my lunch, and answer some of your questions from Instagram. I think I posted this Ask Me Any Questions post on Instagram a few weeks ago now, so it might be a little late, but I still wanted to make sure I got to answering your questions. And my partner is actually eating next to me, so if you hear some extra crunching on the side, that's him. And another disclaimer is, yeah, my hair looks kind of crazy right now. I just brought attention to it, so now you're gonna be staring at it probably, but my hair used to be this color when I got these extensions, and then, you know, quarantine, can't go to the salon, all that good stuff. So it is what it is. We're just gonna deal with it. Yeah, let's just get straight into the video of me answering some of your questions. Hi guys, this is hi.yeonni popping in to let you guys know that this specific portion of the video is sponsored by Ana Luisa Jewelry. Ana Luisa Jewelry is a Brooklyn-based ethical jewelry brand that I collab with. I reviewed their jewelry in a previous video and I'm actually wearing it right now. It's been an absolute pleasure working with them, and I wanted to use this opportunity to give them a shout out. Something that is really cool is that they created a really beautiful piece called the Unity bracelet, where if you purchase this bracelet, 100% of the proceeds goes to supporting the CDC Foundation. So obviously that's so cool, where you can get yourself something really cute and also support the CDC against this fight with coronavirus. So if you're interested in checking out Ana Luisa Jewelry, the link will be in the description box down below and also in the comments. And yeah, let's just get back into the video. So what I'm eating today is this thing. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. My partner already took some bites out of his, but the first time I ever saw these were in Trisha Paytas's mukbangs. I heard they had these here in Seattle, so my partner and I went over to check them out, and here they are. I don't know what they're, corn cheese hot dogs or whatever. This one has mozzarella inside and has potatoes all around the outside. His is more of a hot dog. It's called the Volcano hot dog. It's a bit spicy. But yeah, this is what I'm eating for lunch, and to kind of balance it off, a little bit of arugula and salad to try to be a little healthy. And then some green tea. This is my absolute favorite unsweetened green tea. When we were in Japan a few years ago, this thing saved our lives in the crazy heat. First question, which is Annalise3444 asked, how do I know if I truly like someone? PS, you inspire me. Thank you, Annalise, for your question. How do I know if I truly like someone? For me, at least, in my past, when I knew that I really liked someone, it was hard for me to not think about them. So every day of my, every day I'd just be going to school or going to work or whatever, and I'd be thinking about this person. I wonder what he's doing. And then I think a pretty telltale sign for me of when I really like someone is I get really excited when they text me or when they respond to something, or interaction. They give me attention, essentially. How do people do mukbangs? I can't talk and eat at the same time. Okay. Oh, they messed up mine too. I was supposed to have cheese inside, but there's a hot dog. It's still really good. It's just I wanted to try out the mozzarella one because everyone does the cheese pull. Whatever, it still tastes pretty good. Next question is by S_Boyuklieva. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. First one is not a question, just saying thank you so much for your content. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. And she had another question, which was favorite meal to cook/eat. I don't really want to say this is cooking because I know it's really easy, but I make avocado toast a lot, and I think it's because I used to spend so much money buying avocado toast whenever I'd go out for brunch or lunch or anything like that. Then once I started making them at home, I was mind blown by how easy it is to put together a really nice avocado toast. I know I'm basic, sue me. Next question is by Cassidy MTBC. What schools did you apply for your MSW, and what made you choose NYU? Okay. I believe I applied to NYU, Columbia, Fordham. Those were the three schools I applied to. I chose NYU because I got into Fordham and NYU. I was rejected from Columbia. So between Fordham and NYU, I chose NYU because when I was doing my research, I read that Fordham focuses a lot on more policy-based macro social work, and I knew NYU was more known for their clinical track, and because I'm more interested in clinical interpersonal psychotherapy, that area of social work, I knew NYU was a better fit for me, so that's why I chose NYU. Thank you, Cassidy, for your question. Lauren Simon asked, what is one thing you wish you knew before beginning your MSW? The one thing that has bothered me a lot of, like, this is not an easy field, and I think if you're someone who's subscribed to me and watches my videos, I say that a lot. But the one thing that has, I think, bothered me the most about this field is that there's so many hoops that you have to jump through to become like an esteemed social worker. For example, you can get a bachelor's in social work and get a BSW and find jobs. There's totally jobs out there. But if you get an MSW, which is a master's in social work, you can get so many more jobs. So you kind of feel like you have to get a master's. Then once you get your master's, you have to become licensed in order to get more jobs. So then you're like, okay, I might as well get licensed. And that's not an easy process either, because that's more hoops that you have to jump through. You have to take the test, which is really, really expensive. You have to apply for the licensing. And then the licensing board takes months to get back to you. They want you to send things through snail mail all the time, and it's really frustrating. And then you think that's done, like, oh, you're licensed, you're registered, you have your master's, and at least for me, I thought I was good to go. And then you realize after the master's, there's a clinical license where you have to get a certain number of experiences and you have to get certain numbers of supervision to get even better jobs. So it's kind of like, I wish I knew that I knew I was signing up for a difficult field, but I wish I knew that in order to get the specific jobs that I want, which is the more clinical-based hospital jobs, I need a C clinical license. And it's just been really hard navigating through all of that, because I just feel like I have a freaking master's degree. Like, I spent a lot of money going to NYU for that, spent a lot of money getting these licenses and registrations, and there's still like a constant, like, it's not enough, you need to do more, you need to get more letters, you need to get more hours. And it's different from other fields where if you have a master's, there's some level of like expertise that people understand you have. But when you're a social worker and you have your MSW, of course it's still a master's degree, no one can take that away from you, but it's still not enough to get certain jobs. And I thought that was kind of disappointing about this job. Next question is by Beth285_. What is the difference between MSW, LMSW, and LCSW? Can you do clinical work with either? And I guess that kind of corresponds with the previous question. Sorry, I got really heated with that last question, so I need to take a good drink of this. So the LMSW are the letters that you get after you get your master's degree from a 2-year social work program, and then the L is for license. So you take the licensing exam. LCSW means you've got your master's degree, you've got your license after your master's program, and then you've had 3+ years of supervised clinical experience afterwards, and then it's another test that you take, which is the clinical social work exam. And then you get the LCSW. And the LCSW is, unless you get a PhD in social work, it is like the highest level of licensing that you can get as a social worker. You get more clinical jobs with that. From my experience, a lot of hospitals seem to want more LCSWs as opposed to LMSWs, because when you have that C, it kind of tells the recruiter or the HR people that you've been in the field for at least 3+ years and have all this experience and supervision. I'm kind of struggling with that right now because I have my LMSW. Well, now that I'm in Washington, everything is different, because this wasn't your question, but I've gotten this question a lot. But depending on which state you're in, they have different names for these licenses. So for example, in New York, after I got my master's degree and my license, I was an LMSW. But in California, after you get your master's degree, the next license that you get is an ASW, which is an associate social worker. And then when you say you're licensed, it means you're clinical. So you can't say you're licensed, you're registered in California. It's really confusing. I don't like that, but it's just part of what comes with the field. Next question is by Joss.Saunders. How did you know you found the right guy? Oh, okay. Something a little different from social work. Sorry, let me eat this. I'm hungry and I'm sweaty because I get sweaty when I film. Is that gross? Sorry. Why are you looking at me?
How did you know? Just blur it out.
Okay. See, I don't like talking with my mouth full, so mukbangs don't work for me.
It's a little gross.
How did I know I found the right guy? I'm assuming like right guy. There's different contexts, like right guy to date, right guy to marry. Some people, those are in the same streamline of dating. Like I know friends who would never date a guy that they don't see themselves marrying, but I also know friends who kind of want to take it slow and try dating someone, and it could work out, it could not work out, so it's just different for everyone. For me, being transparent, I don't have too much dating experience, to be honest. I only had one boyfriend before I met my current partner and husband. So how I knew that my partner was the right guy, that was like 6 years ago, so my memory's a bit blurry. But I remember one thing that like really left a good impression on me was we met when we were studying abroad in Korea. And then I think it was his mom's or dad's birthday or something. So he had sent like a gift, and then he was calling them and like, did you get the gift or whatever? And I don't know, it just, maybe it's because my ex was an asshole, but like at least for me at the time, I thought it was really sweet that he was checking up on his parents, and it was such a small, humble thing. But I'd been surrounded by a lot of guys in college that really were very self-centered and treated their parents like shit. So it was just really cool at like, I was 20, he was 21. At that age, like he was still calling his parents and like seemed very humble. I think humility was a big part of like what I looked for in a guy. Another thing was that he didn't try to take advantage of me in any way, where he was very respectful of like my personal space, even if we knew we were flirting with each other. Because, you know, sometimes, at least in my experience, a lot of times when guys would try to flirt with me, they grab my hand, or like they try to like isolate me from my friends, which was just really gross and snarky, and I hated it. But you know, with my current partner, we always hung out with our friends, so I could observe him, like how he's like with other people and with me. And like when we were spending time just the two of us, he was respectful of me, and that was a big part.
You touched my butt first.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I did touch his butt first, which I don't know how I was so bold. That could have gone badly if you weren't into me. He was very humble. He was very respectful of me and my space. After we had our first kiss, he apologized because I think I had a just really weird look on my face. So I think he thought he screwed up. But yeah, just it was very kind, very simple. And I hate people who overthink and over manipulate situations. So he just seemed like a simple guy, which I liked. So Joss.Saunders asked another question. Thank you. I study social work in England. I was wondering if you ever thought of moving abroad. My dream growing up was always living in New York City, and that might be very short-sighted of me and kind of like, come on, like there's the whole world to see. Why just stay in the States? I get that, but I think it's because I always lived in proximity to New York, but never in New York. So my long-term goal, which never really turns out how you plan it because life is crazy, but was to live in New York for like a significant number of years. And if I love it, I love it. If not, then I'll think about where to go. But like my dream city and place to live was always New York. So I never really thought about where I could potentially live outside of the States. And also being a social worker, just because there's so many like rules and regulations that are involved with our line of work, as it should be, since it's a very sensitive line of work where we work with people very closely and intimately. I'm glad that there's all these hoops to jump through when it comes to getting licensed and registered. Because I moved around so much in the States, and I've been really struggling and stressed out with trying to be a social worker and, you know, jump through all of these hoops every time I move. I can't imagine what that would be like, moving to another country and trying to practice social work there. England sounds great though. I've always wanted to visit. Hopefully when all this corona stuff is over, I have so many places I want to visit and go to, and England is definitely on my list. So thank you for your question, Joss.Saunders.
It smells the most.
He's smelling the pear. You sicko. HMOT asks, I'm looking at doing a degree in social work. Would you recommend it as a good career? If you've never seen any of my social work videos, I think I do a pretty good job of representing, you know, the challenges and the rewards that come with this career. I personally would recommend this job, but let me put a disclaimer in that. I went into social work knowing that one day I would come out of social work. My very first social work video I ever uploaded like 3 years ago or something, I let my audience know that eventually my goal is to go back to school and get a PhD in counseling psychology. I'm very interested in research, and I want to work in academia as a professor. And I want to do a lot more research in Asian American mental health studies, especially like with the Korean American population. But I knew that at least in my 20s or early and mid 20s, I wanted to work as a social worker to get a lot of hands-on experience working with clients. So me personally, I would recommend doing it, but because of just like the mental strain, the vicarious trauma of being in a field that is so heavily misunderstood by the public, so underfunded, but so necessary. Like literally every day you're talking to and interacting with people who have been shunned by society, by their own family at times. And that kind of emotional trauma of the job, I know people who have done it for years, all of their lives, and I give them so much props, but I know that I can't really do that, and that was never my plan. So I think if you're interested, kind of think about for how long, where do you see yourself in 10, 20, 30 years? Maybe watch some videos of like a day in the life of a social worker video and see if you could see yourself doing that in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And so a good career is really subjective, and hopefully what I shared with you helped a little bit. But really think about like, what do you want out of a job? There are many ways to help people. That's something I learned while doing this job. You could be a social worker. You could be an EMT. You could be a medical doctor. You could be like a care coordinator who helps navigate clients to help them to get resources. You don't need a social work degree for that. So think about, is what you want specifically what you see social workers doing, or if you want to just help people, what are the different ways that you could get to that ultimate goal? But personally for me, I think it is a great job, but it's only a part of my career plan. Elena, hi Elena, asks tips to best handle grief and loss. This isn't the best way to talk about things, so hopefully we can catch up and talk about how you've been doing. And my tip might be kind of cliche, but time is important. Time to process your emotions, cry a lot. When my grandpa passed away a few years ago, I cried a lot initially, and then whenever I would go somewhere where I was reminded of him, I'd just cry again. And it was really important for me to like let those tears out, emotions out. And then eventually over time, I'm still really sad about it. Every time I see, like I have a photo of him on my desk, and every time I see him, I'm still sad, but it doesn't hurt as much as the initial shock of losing someone you love. So I know that you have a beautiful family, and I see that you're spending a lot of time with them. So, stay connected with your family and friends, and with time, things will get better, and, we'll see our loved ones again in heaven. We will, so it's not goodbye forever. And yeah. Thank you for your question, Elena. Netta.Ruth asked how to find the right practicum placement. At least for me at NYU, I didn't really have much of a choice, as in we filled out questionnaires on what we wanted, where we see ourselves working, but they made it pretty clear from the beginning that they were going to decide where we were going to be placed. My number one advice would be, even if it's that kind of a situation, keep advocating for yourself. If a placement really isn't the right fit for you, I would say make an appointment with like the placement office coordinator or something, or whoever it might be at your school. But the thing about social work is no matter where you work, I think you learn so much. And my first year placement was the worst, as in I love my clients. However, my direct supervisor was he kind of took advantage of me in many ways, and thankfully he quit, and then things worked out for the better. But maybe one day I'll share that story with everyone on this channel. But keep advocating for yourself, but also know, even if you don't get placed in the perfect placement that you feel like you want to be in, you could be in for a surprise. I worked with the senior population my first year, and I loved working with them. I never even thought about working with seniors, not because I have anything against them, it was just never in my mind. And it was some of my best memories of working is from that internship and interacting with those clients. Seniors they don't give a shit, and it's awesome. And they tell you how it is. They call you out on your BS, and I just loved working with them. So keep an open mind, but advocate for yourself. I think that's important. Dear sweet Crystal, what do you do to refresh your knowledge of interventions and theories in social work? Whenever I've gone to trainings or have gotten PowerPoints or things on interventions and theories, I save all of them and I have a folder. So whether it's in times like now where I'm unemployed and I need to kind of refresh freshen up on theories or skills or interventions. I read through those things, and I also read a lot of books regarding interventions and theories in social work. I'm going to make a video on some like mental health social work books that I've been reading and that I enjoy. Choo Choo Tran asks, broad but important question, how are you doing? Thank you, Choo Choo Tran, for asking. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Maybe I'm not okay. Yeah, I'm not okay, but I'm okay with not being okay, if that makes sense. Life's kind of all over the place right now, for me at least, and I'm sure the rest of the world, to be honest. It's kind of a weird time right now, but I've just been applying to jobs, getting some rejections, getting some no answers at this time, and I'm feeling a little antsy because I really want to start working, and also I'm trying to apply for unemployment, which has been really difficult for not just me but everyone else. So I'm not really okay, but I understand that it's okay to not be okay, and I'm just dealing with it the best I can by doing a lot of self-care. S_Boyuklieva asked another question. What are you watching recently? Recently, been watching a lot of Netflix, as with everyone else. I finished watching Community, which was pretty good. And then after that, we watched Kim's Convenience, which was so fun. If you haven't watched Kim's Convenience yet, it's on Netflix. My voice. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend checking it out. And then yesterday we finished watching Money Heist. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. But also, it's really intense. So what my partner and I did was we watched season 1 and 2, and we're kind of taking a break from it, and we'll go back for season 3 and 4. So Kim's Convenience, Community are kind of like really fun, chill things you can watch while eating, and they're just lighthearted sitcoms. Money Heist is not a sitcom whatsoever. I don't want to spoil anything for you because it's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. So Money Heist is really good. Check that out. Elena Huang asks, what made you want to go into social work instead of mastering counseling or clinical psych? So what made me want to go into social work instead of mastering counseling or clinical psych is that I always knew I was interested in mental health and counseling. So I actually, did a lot of pros and cons lists for all of those programs. And I was planning on applying to both, like the counseling psych master's program and social work program, but reading into what social work was about and like the vision of like the social work school and programs and the curriculum, I really liked the social justice aspect of social work, where there were a lot of classes that I was more interested in the social work program. Like one class that was really intense but such a unique experience was called the DROP class at NYU. It's DROP: Diversity, Racism, Oppression, and Privilege. That was the name of the class, and we had some really powerful discussions in that class. And Nilofar BHT asked, social work. That's not a question, but I guess you're asking about social work, and I'm just gonna have to say check out my videos because I don't know what you want to ask me about social work. I have a playlist on them, so hopefully one of those videos can answer whatever question you might have had about social work. Anthony_AJ_2 asks, how are you? Love your style. Thank you. I don't really think I have a style, but I appreciate it. I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. I'm realizing today that mukbang videos are not for me because I can't talk and eat at the same time, but you learn as you go. So thank you, Anthony, for your question. Sophia.Sargent asks, are you glad you majored in psych for undergrad? And do you recommend it for those looking to go into social work? I am glad that I majored in psych in undergrad. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the classes. And do you recommend it for those looking to go into social work? I think I would recommend it over a social work bachelor's degree because from what I've heard from my colleagues who had a bachelor's in social work and then went into a master's of social work program, they said they felt like a lot of the curriculum was repetitive and redundant. So some of them were like, I feel like I wasted my money going back to school for a master's in the same field because they learned most of the master's degree curriculum while in undergrad. So unless you want a bachelor's in social work to be your end-all goal, I would say if you know you want to go into social work school, don't get a bachelor's in social work and get something maybe similar. I know people who had like a political science undergrad major who went to school for their social work degree. So just don't get a bachelor's in social work. I think that's what I would say. I'm really glad I had the psych background. I think it helped me a lot with better understanding certain clinical concepts. Ellie OHC asks, what has your experience been with negotiating pay? I'm a new MSW applying for various positions. I never really negotiated pay. Both of my jobs I've had out of internships had like a set salary already on the listing of the job, which I liked and agreed to, so I never really had to negotiate pay. So sorry, I don't think I can really answer your question. But most of the times when I'm applying to jobs, like I'm applying right now, and when they have that like blank that's like what's your pay expectation or something, I just write negotiable. Because if I write a certain number and they don't agree with that, that will probably get me cut from the opportunity of an interview in the future. So if you write negotiable, then if anything, they might want to bring you in to start talking to you about what you might want. Because I think it's always, when you have those online applications, it's always about trying to get to the next step, which is to talk to someone in person. So yeah, I usually write just negotiable, or like a range. Dear Sweet Crystal asks again, any tips for someone who just got their first job as a counselor or therapist? I've talked about this in some of my videos, but pretty much advocate for yourself, keep an open mind, and ask a lot of questions. Don't feel bad about asking questions. Mihail MCM asked, where are you moving to? I moved to Seattle, Washington, and that's where I am now. Maritza_Perez asked, would you ever want to do social work in a more macro level? I think so, yes, because I think working in the micro level has taught me that it's all interrelated. I don't know how or when or what this is gonna look like, but if the opportunity comes, I am interested in becoming more involved in like policy, macro level work where I could help put in some input to best help my clients at the micro level. Pisces Moon 01 asks, any tips for someone wanting to be a future therapist? Number one tip, Google is your best friend. Google what does a therapist do? How much does a therapist make? What is a therapist? How do you become a therapist? What is a day in the life of a therapist? And I say this because that's exactly what I did when I was curious. I Googled all of those questions, read a ton of Reddit forums and articles. I put those search things in YouTube and saw a lot of people's videos. All of this is research, and research will help you gain knowledge and help you to have a better understanding of why you want to be a therapist and what that could potentially be like for you. So do your research. The Miss.Samson asked, are you currently working or looking for a new job? So sorry to hear about the last company. Thank you for your question. Yeah, the last company, it was a rough one. I am currently looking for a new job since I've just moved to Washington. My application for a Washington social work license is underway, but it takes some time, which I definitely know by now. It's the third time I'm doing this in another state. So yeah, still looking. Fingers crossed. Golly, it's Hey asks, are you working remotely? If so, any tips on staying focused and zoning out distractions? I'm not working remotely at this time since I'm not employed. My partner's working remotely, so maybe I can ask him. Do you have any tips on staying focused?
To take regular breaks.
Uh-huh.
So like, if you feel yourself getting distracted, then just like get up, walk around, make coffee, get water or something like that. Second one is don't have distracting, what would you say?
What?
Like don't have things that could distract you nearby.
Like video games?
Yeah, like don't have YouTube open, don't have like your Switch right next to you, don't like, if you like online shop, don't have Amazon open. Because then like immediately your mind like goes there. So just like try to separate like work and everything else. Okay,
so take like regular breaks as you need it and distance yourself from distractions. Like don't have tabs open or games around you. Thank you. So hopefully that was helpful. River State Knox asked, do you regret going into social work? I do not regret it. Simply put, and I'm just gonna make that short because if you wonder why, just watch my videos and you'll see why. Amazing Minnie Moo, that's a cute name, asks, advice on microaggressive comments from well-meaning parents. Well, me being Asian, I'm very, very familiar with microaggressive comments from my parents. It took me a while to deal with this, and even now, depending on how I'm feeling, sometimes my parents, certain things that my parents say could affect me more than I want them to. But something that has helped me a lot is, as I'm speaking to my parents, if they say certain things that I feel like is a microaggression or like is something that they're saying to try to hurt me or try to deter what I want or not encourage me. Like in the moment, I just put a filter in my mind where I just filter those things out. So I'm like selectively listening. That took a lot of practice to do over the years. And like I said, it really depends on if I'm having like a really bad day, I'm super emotional, my mom says something, yeah, I will break down and cry. It is what it is. Like it just happens that way. But I've gotten a lot better at actively filtering as I'm in conversation with my parents, where like, oh, they're saying like this to this, I'm listening, and then, oh, starting from here, it's a part that I really don't want to focus on, and then I just zone out, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll consider it. And then, you know, I take the filter out, and then I just start listening again. And I think that has helped a lot to establish like a boundary and a wall between my life and what my mom or dad wants for me in my life. And it's helped a lot emotionally as well. It's like an emotional blocker. So good luck. I know it's really hard. Keying C asks how to manage work-life balance and self-care when the job is extremely stressful. Try not to bring your work home. That's really important. So sometimes, like when you have a list of things you have to do at work, something that really helps is prioritize what needs to be done on that day at work. So I always make sure to get those things out of the way. And if certain things can be done the next day, you need to learn to be okay with leaving that work and leaving work on time and coming back to it the next day. And because work is so stressful for me, I've gotten really good at kind of treating myself on a daily basis, whether it's, well, when I used to work in New York, after work, sometimes I would like go to a park and read while I'm like waiting for my partner to be done with his work. I really tried to balance my non-work life with just like saturate it with things I love, like going to really yummy restaurants and having a good time with friends or my partner, like making YouTube videos because it's fun, going to a park. Instead of taking the usual route to the train, I would take like a more scenic route. And I just treated myself a lot while not at work. That way, while I'm at work, while there's a lot of stress, I know that when I'm out of work, it's fun and I can take care of myself and treat myself. Ace__Chun asks, how has your racial and ethnic identities influence affected your work career? I literally just uploaded a video on this yesterday. Check that out, Ace_Chun. I think you'll really enjoy the video. It's all about how growing up Korean American and has affected my life and how my life has been and is like as an Asian American mental health provider. So check it out, I think you'll really like it. Zoe Martian asks, jobs, volunteer opportunities for current BSW student. I want to start gaining experience early. I should probably add to my last queue that I'm interested in mental health or medical social work. Many hospitals have volunteer opportunities. So I would say if you have any local hospitals nearby, go to their websites and there's always a volunteer tab. They're always looking for volunteers, whether it's like clerical desk job or like helping clients around, or sometimes I think when I was in Oakland, one of the Kaiser hospitals had like an in-hospital store and you could like manage that store and like help clients navigate. It's always, if you're interested in medical social work, definitely having like hospital experience is really great, because let me just tell you, when you later on apply to clinical work opportunities where there's a lot of those in hospital and medical settings, they'll like that you've already had experience working inside of a hospital. So I wish I did that when I was an undergrad. I didn't know. Now I know in retrospect. Sophie B587 asks, what was the most and least helpful thing about your MSW that prepared you for the field? Most helpful thing is that I became less naive through my MSW program, which I know that sounds not that great, but I'm a pretty idealistic and naive person in general. I like to usually see the cup as half full, and I have a lot of naivete, as people would say. And that's how I came into the field, where I was like, I'm gonna change the world one person at a time. And I still obviously feel very passionate about my field, but going through the MSW program showed me that I was able to experience firsthand that we live in an extremely broken world, where I need to make sure my expectations are realistic for how I can play my part in this field. So I really made sure to focus on my clients, on each client that sits across from me. And as long as I can help them in the 45-minute, 60-minute session, get what they need, help them get what they need, whether it's food or a letter to the judge about custody over their child, or just 30 minutes of having them rant about their ex-husband. I'm there for them, and that's what I can do, and I'm okay with that. It was really important for me to get a dose of reality because that's what's kept me going and to not feel burnt out. Least helpful thing, I think maybe like the clinical psychotherapy class topics. Well, that's the thing, those do come in handy, but when you're a social worker, you come to realize a lot of the times, we learn a lot about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's really hard to do psychoanalysis with a client when that person hasn't eaten in 5 days. So there are steps to helping clients. So the first thing that most social workers, if not that all social workers need to understand, is you need to know how to do case management and get your clients their basic needs met first, and then you can take some time to delve into the therapy part, the clinical analysis, like the childhood trauma and all of that stuff that we learn a lot in school, but we need to learn more about case management. How do you connect people with resources? So yeah. So the clinical stuff was helpful, but not as helpful as case management. Kristen Ligon, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, as background. Nope, this is a two-part question. Could you give advice on how to manage stress since some students won't be able to sit for the LMSW? Oh, background, I'm an MSW student in Texas and I'm graduating in a month. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Yeah, so all testing centers are closed because of COVID. I read that definitely. You've put in the hard work, right? 2 years of going to your classes, writing those papers, doing your field placement. No one can take that away from you. They can't. Even if you weren't able to sit in for your test on that certain date, eventually, hopefully, things will go back to normal and testing centers will open and you'll be able to get your license. And if anything, I hope you can see that your hard work didn't mean nothing. Your hard work wasn't for nothing, if that makes sense. You still got your master's degree, you will get your license. And if anything, I've been getting some updates from the NASW, National Association of Social Workers, and I know they're trying to really work with what's going on with COVID. So I would say if you're not signed up for their emails, see what they're doing to make accommodations for the class of 2020. Best of luck. Congratulations on graduating. I think that's really fantastic. Last but not least, does faith/religion inspire what you do? Asked by Stephanie.Bowman ... which I think means your username is longer. Yes, faith/religion does inspire what I do. So I'm a Christian. I've said that a few times in some of my videos. And for me, being a Christian is what really fuels my desire to continue with this job, because a lot of this work aligns with my values as a Christian. And sometimes people ask me, how does you being religious affect your job? Like, are you allowed to be religious at work? And it's a very taboo topic, which I understand, but that's the thing. I separate, when you're a therapist, you separate your personal life from your professional life. Or like in any job, you should be separating your personal life with your professional job. So just because I'm Christian doesn't mean that I'm preaching to my clients at work, and I shouldn't be doing that anyway. My clients have their own right to believe whatever they want to believe, and me being a Christian, designs how I work, what my beliefs and faiths are, but that does not affect how I treat my clients, how I view my clients. It's not about that. I'm not done with my food because I don't know how to talk and eat at the same time, but I hope you enjoyed this video where I answered 40 of your Instagram DM questions. It was very fun to do. I like that there was like a mixture of school related ones, like personal life ones. That was pretty fun. And yeah, I will be doing more of these since I do get a lot of questions on my Instagram. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like these kinds of Q&A ones, definitely give it a thumbs up. That way I know and I can do more of these through my Instagram. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, emotionally, mentally, physically, with everything that's going on in the world. I'm sending everyone positive, good vibes. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.